and thank you all for visiting us today to gain some information on the Egypt program, the land of the Pharaohs. Jessica and her team and the Chamber President, Lacey Toledano, over the years have done a wonderful, wonderful job of creating exciting, vibrant adventures to far-flung places across the world. And this year is no different. I call these programs international awareness programs. And this international awareness program this year to Egypt is second to none. What a destination, what an adventure you've got ahead of you if you decide to come on this program with the Chamber. The best way I could open the conversation is be prepared to learn, be prepared to gain as numerous, so much information on the culture, the history of Egypt, and in actual fact, the world, because Egypt was one of the places where civilization started on this planet we call home. So without ado, in a moment, what we're going to do
Oh, I can hear it.
what we're going to go through is the trip itself. With the aid of slides, we're going to go through the slides briefly, or should we say the trip briefly, because we could still be discussing this trip tomorrow if we went in depth with it. But having said that, we go in a moment. November the 5th through to the 14th is the departure date. And great time to be heading into Egypt. And why? A couple of reasons. One, because the weather will be great. The weather will be in the average of 70 degrees in the day, dropping down to low 60s, high 50s in the evening. Yeah, great time to do that. It sounds like we've got somebody with who's still got their I'm just looking, I can't see it. Somebody's got their mic on open. So anyhow, before we go on, let's talk a little bit about Aventura World, hopefully the company that you're going to be traveling with. Aventura World has been a value leader in the US travel marketplace since 1972. We have offices all over the world, both sides of the United States, as well as Paris, Rome, London, Delhi, and Cairo. And we're a member of Saqqara International with thousands of employees worldwide. They own riverboats, hotels, and other travel-related entities. We're dedicated to revealing the treasures of the world to you at the most relaxed pace possible. And there are so many treasures on this particular program. Not just the pyramids, not just the beautiful Nile, not just the Valley of the Kings, but through interactions, what we call our cultural discovery series, interactions with locals, learning about stone masonry, going to a school and learning about the education system from young, impressionable Egyptians, citizens, learning about essential oils and glass blowing, just some other things. Yes, it's important to see the major points, but it is also important to be able to understand where we are and understand the country that we're traveling in. As a wholesaler of travel and not a travel agent, I bring forth the distinction. We are a wholesaler. We bring forth tremendous value for money without affecting the quality, as we do not have the middlemen. Lastly, we are a company that changes with the times. And importantly, We'll discuss a little bit more about that as we move along, what social distancing travel means and such things as that. We may not end up in social distancing travel, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Lastly, after the end of this presentation, I hope you agree. We class ourselves as the leader in value-priced 4-star first-class programs in the United States. Now, here we are, right there in front of the Great Pyramids on the Giza Plateau. Normally, if I was stood in front of you, I'd be saying, open the brochure. This is what we're going to go through. Now, so importantly, here we have the brochure, a picture of it right there. You'll find Jessica's information right on the bottom left-hand corner, her email address, a telephone number right there. And this is the brochure that we're going to be going through as we discuss the program. If you have friends, family members who happen to be outside the St. Tammany area, that you might have family who live in New York, friends that live in California, ex-neighbors that live overseas, let them know you're going. They'll be able to log on to the chamber website, pull the brochure down. We'd be happy to accommodate them out of their home airport. We have a family every year that travels with us from Sydney, Australia, with one of our partners, and we are happy to arrange that with them. Having said that, the program is going to bring forth terrific education possibilities for you. It's going to bring forth a folklore and culture far different than in and around the South and Louisiana. Here we've got some of our travelers on the Galabera night. We encourage you to dress, the left-hand shot there, dress as an Egyptian. There's traditions of belly dancing and folkloric shows, history spanning centuries. And this is a shot I've taken from within inside the Valley of the Kings, a tomb there. Breathtaking scenery, old forms of transportation, world-renowned historical sites that you may have seen on the Discovery Channel, the Travel Channel, or something such as that. And a warm and inviting, friendly people. I can assure you at least once, but most probably 10, 15 times, somebody will come up to you in Egypt and say, hello, where are you from? And you'll tell them where you're from, and they will immediately reply, thank you for coming. We welcome you to our country. It happens all the time. It's a warm and inviting, friendly people. The majority of the people around where we are traveling will speak English. Now, the first day number 1, we're going to leave New Orleans bound for Egypt. There isn't any non-stop flights from New Orleans into Egypt. We're probably we will have to go to an international US departure gateway. From there, we will fly up to overseas into a European gateway, and from there we will head to Cairo. So it'll be an overnight flight, and arriving. Importantly, I make the statement all the time: Egypt is not, and I emphasize, it's not the easiest destination to get to, because from New Orleans, it's probably going to be 3 planes. Having said that, it is well worth the time spent traveling. It is well worth the effort to get there. And only on your last days returning will you understand what I mean by that statement. It is an unbelievable destination. Day 2, sometime late afternoon, early evening, you'll be arriving on welcome to Egypt and welcome to Cairo. You'll be landing in Cairo, which is right here. Our program operates in the same way, week in, week out. 2 nights in Cairo upon arrival. From Cairo, we catch a flight down to Aswan, and we'll cruise back up the Nile for 4 nights. Come back to Cairo for another 2 nights, and then anybody interested will have an optional extension for 3 nights at the end of the trip. Upon arrival inside the secure area of Cairo International Airport, you'll find somebody like this with a bright orange tie with an orange lanyard. There are airport representatives. They'll meet you not right in front of the plane, but down either left or right. It depends on which gate you come to. You either turn left or you turn right, go down a long corridor. And when the corridor dog lefts to the left, you'll find them right in front of two banks. There's two banks because they're there to assist you with gaining your visas. Visas are not required in advance, but we'll discuss that in a moment. They'll help you go through customs and immigration, our airport rep, and then once we get outside, you'll meet your Egyptologist and tour director. And you'll soon be on our modern air-conditioned motor coach for the transfer through to Cairo. And Cairo is a bustling, cosmopolitan African city. The Nile flows straight through the center. Our hotel is in the embassy and consulate district, only a hop, skip, and a jump from the main museum of antiquities. But Egypt will dance before your eyes as soon as you arrive there. Our home from home is the Ramses Hilton. It's part of the Hilton International Hotel chain. If you have Hilton points, you'll be able to accrue them at this hotel. It has all the modern facilities and comforts of any first-class four-star hotel. Nile view rooms or city rooms, all with balcony. Personally, my preference is the city views. There's nothing like looking across. It's an almost lunar landscape as you look across across the low-rise city of Cairo. But again, everything you're going to need is right here. The rooms are spacious, all have a large balcony, writing desk, satellite TV, direct dial telephone, air conditioned heat, private bathrooms, direct dial telephone, internet service, mini bar. The hotel itself, and you can see the dining room there, the pool area. Again, everything you're going to need. There's even a casino in this hotel, in the basement. So it works well. There's about 4 restaurants, Indian cuisine, Egyptian cuisine, and international cuisine, as well as there's the Sherlock Holmes pub, a British-style pub. Spa, saunas, hot tubs, and all that good stuff too. And in there's an underground section to the hotel. There is the on-site Galleria shopping mall with over 200 shops inside the arcade there. It's a great home from home, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And here we have the amenities. But again, I bring this up so that I can show you ladies that there are hair dryers in the room. Let's forget about the iron and ironing board. We'll leave those chores until we get back home. The first night we arrive, we relax a little bit, and either the first night or the second night, dependent on arrival of the aircraft time from the United States, we'll have an optional light and sound show. So that's where we are with that. And that brings you into a great opportunity to be able to, excuse me, a great opportunity to be able to experience the pyramids and the Sphinx in an unusual setting at night with lights, music, sound, and lasers. It'll be first encounter, excuse me, with camels, as there are many camel stables in and around this area right there. So it works really, really well. And it gives you a great base introduction into the Egyptian history, the various periods of Egyptian history, and come home and sleep well that evening. Day 3, we'll find ourselves on the city tour of Egypt. We'll be seeing from the coach Old Town Cairo with its mosques, synagogues, and Coptic churches, the Christian faith. We'll either go to the Museum of Antiquity with our professor of Egyptology, our Egyptologist tour director, or there's a possibility it will be replaced by the brand new Grand Museum. The reason I say it is a possibility, right now the Grand Museum is not open. One of the beauties of travel and international travel in particular is you gain to understand ways of life of other nations, other people. The Museum of Antiquity should have been opened already. It isn't. Things take a little slower pace in Egypt. So it's supposed to be open this fall, but again, we're not 100% sure. If not, we'll be going to the Museum of Antiquity, which is one of my favorite museums in the world. Why? Because when you walk through those main doors there, you almost feel like you're Indiana Jones. You can see little dust particles in the skylight, in the beams of light coming from the skylights. There's antiquities everywhere. And I think this next shot will show you that. And there you've got it. You'll find statues, sarcophagus, tombs. There's a full area of mummies. There is a basement, a 4-story basement underneath this museum with artifacts that haven't been seen in decades. But we'll also see King Tut's golden death mask, and we'll learn about King Tutankhamen. We'll learn about all the artifacts that were taken out of the site and his tomb on the Valley of the Kings. Here's the ark that took Tutankhamun to the afterlife. Some of the golden items that were inside.
No, I can't see it. I can't hear
it. Which were inside the tomb itself. We'll continue on after that to the Citadel. The Citadel of Saladin is a fort overlooking the town, the city itself. It's perched on a hill with spectacular views. We'll have lunch in a park close by and then head out to the 13th century bazaar. Time to do a little bit of shopping for brass items, for clothing, statues, vases, maybe have a glass of strong Egyptian tea. Before we know it, we'll have had 2 nights in Cairo, and day 4 we'll find ourselves most probably early in the morning. We try and get an early morning flight from Cairo down to Aswan. Aswan, we're going to the far reaches of the country of Egypt and to the start of the navigable section of the Nile. And this is a satellite shot, but it's a great thing to see. Here we can see the Nile Delta. It's a lush green environment. The Nile is it's just one river as it goes through this section. And then after Cairo, you can see a little gray spot right here. After that, it branches out into various tributaries until it gets out into the Mediterranean. Some of the lushest and greenest farming land in all Africa, right there. Those people going on to the extension to Alexandria. Alexandria is here, and you will drive through this area. But you can see the belt of the Nile. On a clear day on your flight, this is what you'll see, something like this. For sure, as you're landing in Aswan, you'll see the green nature of all the vegetation, the farmlands, the trees in and around the Nile when you land. Upon arrival, close to the airport is the Aswan High Dam. It's a hydroelectric plant, and it brings forth about 1/6 of the country's electricity right here from this. And this is the reason why the Nile is now navigable in Egypt. To the back of us from this photograph is Lake Nasser. Lake Nasser was formed when the dam was built, and we'll be going on Lake Nasser in a moment, and we'll see some shots of that. But here we are looking across to the navigable section of the Nile. No longer does it flood or go in drought, so it's controlled all the way. So the riverboats do flow on a weekly basis on this, and every week of the year. After seeing the Aswan High Dam, we'll head to the Egyptian obelisk. The Egyptian obelisk, to some of you, it may be just a piece of stone with some cracks in it in the ground, but this is a great way to understand how Egyptians during the Pharaoh periods pulled out the stone for the building of the pyramids, or for obelisks or large statues. Here you can see the chipping away of the stone around the obelisk. They did this with a harder stone than the stone that the obelisks are made of. As they went around, they eventually went underneath the obelisk itself. The problem with this one is, as they were finishing and going around it, you can see a few cracks appeared, rendering the obelisk useless. And it's left for us to view and see how it was done. If this obelisk was finished, it would have been the biggest obelisk in the world. And it's a great way to see it. After viewing the obelisk, we'll be heading out to our riverboat. Historically, we use either the Mojito or the Monaco. I have no idea why we are traveling on the Nile in Egypt with a Cuban drink, with a boat named after a Cuban drink, but we are. Now, most companies out there will be saying, we're going on a 5-star vessel. You are going on a 5-star vessel, but we're very frank and forthright in all our conversations. This is an Egyptian 5-star vessel. To equate it into a US rating, this is a first-class 4-star vessel. It's clean, it's comfortable. It has either large picture book windows or large windows that slide open. All rooms have private bathroom, full-size bath and shower. You've got international direct dial telephones. You've got climate control. You've got mini refrigerators in your room. You've got satellite TV. Now, please, this is Egypt. Satellite TV, when we're docked in a port, because they plug it in, and we'll get a couple of, we'll maybe get a CNN, we'll get a couple of European, and we'll get some Egyptian TV on there. When we're cruising like this, we'll have closed circuit cameras monitoring the direction we're going into. There are safe boxes also on the vessel itself, as there are safe boxes at the Hilton too. Here we have the Monaco, but there are no elevators on the vessel. Please keep that in mind. As soon as we arrive, we'll relax, get into your room, unpack your suitcase, have lunch, explore. Here we are. For those people who have riverboated in Europe, riverboats in Europe are long and thin, not that high. In Egypt, they are taller and a little shorter. So they tend to be a little bit more spacious. As you see here, in the riverboats in Europe, you won't have that much space inside there, the actual boat itself. But it's full of exotic woods, marbles, and lots of sitting areas. Here's the shop, some lounge areas, as you can see. This is the bar area where we'll have belly dancing, Nubian shows, and such things as that. And here we are in the rooms. Twin beds, or twin beds that push together to make larger beds in all staterooms. We have TVs, mini bars, safe boxes, ample size wardrobe, small sitting area, bathrooms with bath and shower, attachments, and as you can see here from the top right, hair dryers for the ladies. All meals on board are buffet. Currently it's buffet, but served to you. So the chef will ask you what you want, and he will fill your plate as many times as you wish. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there's ample amounts of food. The flatbreads in Egypt are spectacular, and it's my favorite thing. The flatbreads with meats and cheeses, hot and cold foods, and even for breakfast, the Egyptians have a sweet tooth. You will see that there are desserts too. So great. I'm sure you'll enjoy the food on board. And here we are in the dining room. As we move along, upstairs on the promenade deck, the exercise deck, there's a pool, a jacuzzi, lounges with sunshades, a large chess set, and plenty of places just to watch the world go by. Here we are in Aswan, and a great time to relax. That afternoon, after lunch and after a bit of time of relaxation, we'll head out to the Temple of Philae. We'll catch a motorboat on Lake Nasua, and we'll go on Lake Nasua to the Temple of Philae. Philae is the only site on this trip that is not in its original place. When the Aswan Dam was built, the Temple of Philae was flooded. So they moved every aspect of the temple stone by stone and rebuilt it on high ground during a drought period. And as you go through the Temple of Philae, you'll be able to notice different shadings. This is the shading of the waterline where it was. It went all the way up to the top on some periods, but here you can see low and then medium and high as we're going up. And here we are with its new location. It's a great opportunity to have your first educational class on hieroglyphics. You're going to be so knowledgeable on hieroglyphics, what it means. It's more than just cats. Most people think it's pictures of cats, but there's a specific language here, and you'll see deities, you'll see pharaohs, you'll see things of everyday life depicted here on the walls of the temples throughout. Part of our first cultural discovery series inside Aswan is going to be glass blowing. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's a great thing to see the sights and sounds, the most famous and prominent things of a place, but we like, whenever humanly possible, to meet the locals, to learn something of local industry, glass blowing, and in particular, glass blowing to make diffusers for essential oils is here. Then you can learn about essential oils, which are produced here in Egypt. The emphasis is on education, but there's always the ability, if you wish, to buy. One night, whilst on the vessel, we'll have belly dancing, and the next day, after breakfast, we'll go on to a mode of transport which has long been forgotten, the cargo ship, but the cargo ship by sail. Here you can see a great example of where the sand meets the Nile. There's the desert over that hill, that hill is the Temple of the Winds Hill. It's pure desert as far as the eye can see over in the opposite direction. But we'll be going on a felucca. And here we are sailing the Nile around Elephant Island under wind power. Here we've got with the skipper of the boat itself. As we head around, you can see the boat's moored there, and off we go in and around on a lovely, relaxing and quiet sailing ride. We'll have the ability to see the sights from the water. For those people, some of you may remember the Aga Khan, the first Arab socialite from the 5th 50s and the 60s. He had horse races, horse racing, thoroughbreds. He would run them in Europe and in the United States. And this is where he's buried. This is his mausoleum there on the opposite side of Aswan. We'll go around Kitchener's Island, which is a botanical garden by boat. And here's a shot from the Temple of the Winds, looking back down across Kitchener's Island, which is here, Elephant Island, which is Aswan, and then mainland Aswan right over here. Back to the Mojito we'll go after our experience there, and lunch, and off we'll go then. On day 5, we'll start cruising northbound up from Aswan to Kom Abu. Kom Abu was a center of commerce and farming. We'll be cruising up the Nile. Along the way, we'll see everyday people doing everyday things, fishing, collecting weed for fertilizer, reeds, farming, cultivating the land. And it's time to relax, take it easy, and yeah, just have a relaxing time. In the afternoon, we'll find ourselves in Kom Abu. This will be our first stop along the river. Kom Abu, as I mentioned, was a center of commerce and agriculture. We'll have a guided tour of the site itself. It's also interesting to learn a little bit about taxation while you're here, and I'll show you some of that in a moment. But we'll also see from the hieroglyphics hunting episodes, hunting items that are no longer available to be hunted in this area. Hippopotamuses and crocodiles used to call this area home. They no longer do. Since the building of the High Dam, they've gone way, hundreds and hundreds of miles away from the Egypt border, further south to the very far reaches of southern Lake Nasser. But here we are experiencing Kom Abu. Here we'll learn about taxation. Here's the well. The well had a measurement system by the steps that you see here. During flood, there was ample water in Egypt for everybody. As a result, the Pharaoh would jump to the conclusion that the farming is doing well. Lots of crops, lots of money. Taxation would be high. During drought periods, the Pharaoh would say, well, maybe there's not as much money floating around in the local community. The economy is not doing this quite as good as it could be. Lower taxes would be found if the well here was low. This was also a crocodile breeding ground. They would breed crocodiles in here too. Our Galabera night. Again, as I mentioned, we encourage you to shop for local goods. Not a lot of money. Not a lot of money. $5 to $10 for an outfit, if you can bargain well, and you'll have the time of your life. We encourage you to shop for it in the local vendors in front of the sites of Kom Abu, or as you're in Aswan. Plenty of places. Ladies, you can be Cleopatra for the night. Gents, you could be Lawrence of Arabia, and it's a fun night. Day 6. Day 6, we will be staying overnight. The boat will be docked just at the port outside Edfu. Day 6, we'll find ourselves early in the morning. We will be met by horses and carts. We'll have another form of transportation we might not have been on in quite some time, as we go from the port through to Edfu by horse and car. We go through the town itself. You'll find people going about their everyday life. We go past a couple of great bakeries. The smell is tremendous. Eventually arriving after about a 20-minute ride through to the Temple of Horus. Horus is the falcon god. You can just see right here a deity with a falcon's head. You'll find Horus in many, many hieroglyphics as we go through, in many temples. There are about 19 different Horus gods, but this is my favorite place on the entire trip. Yes, you'll be in awe at the pyramids. Yes, you'll be in awe at the Valley of the Kings. But this place, which has a mix of Greek, Roman, and Egyptian architecture all together, is intact virtually. Really, the only thing that's missing is the treasures and the main doors. That's the main doors. 2 pieces of wood would have been the main doors, and open them up and you'd have entered. Now, only the select few were allowed to head into the temple itself. If we were just regular Egyptians, this is where we would end up. But we're going to be VIPs in the eyes of the pharaohs and the high priest, because we're going into the main square inside the temple. This would have been some powerful people, some wealthy people during the pharaohs period. You can see the main altar, and the area only reserved for the high priest and the pharaohs is guarded by 2 huge falcon Horus gods. After that, we'll continue on through, and here we are. We're select now. Only the high priest and the pharaoh was allowed in here, as this is the ark. This is the ark that would take the pharaoh or very powerful dignitaries over to the afterlife. Take a look at the hieroglyphics all the way around here. Unbelievable. Now, as I mentioned, it's virtually intact. Yes, the Egyptian government have given us additional lighting to make our way inside here, but the roof is still intact. The original lighting system is still intact. Here it is. This is a shot that I took back in 2015. The light goes through skylights in the roof and bathes the temple in natural sunlight. You'll notice charcoal areas on the roof. Early Christian settlers used this temple as a campsite. They built fires inside the temple. Some of this soot is centuries upon centuries old. And here you can see more of it as you walk down to the main ark. We'll get back on the horse and cart and head back to the boat. As soon as we get on board, we usually have lunch and onwards and upwards, heading north through the Esna locks, the secondary precaution to stop flooding or drought on the Nile as we go through the locks themselves. Once we're going through the locks, great thing, if you haven't gone through a lock before, it's a great thing to see a boat the size that we're on move to a different level of water. Now, don't worry if when we're going into the locks or going out the other side, if we get somebody in a rowing boat latching onto our boat, we're not being invaded, and it isn't a pirate. These are vendors. They're selling their wares, whether it be typical Egyptian galaberas, clothing, tablecloths, towels, handcrafted woven items, crochet work, something like that. If these individuals lived in the United States, they would be quarterbacks in American football or pitchers in baseball. They've got an arm on them. They'll either throw the item into your window with pinpoint precision or up into the deck where you're standing on that observation deck. Then you start to barter if you like what you see. If not, you throw it back down. They'll catch it, I guarantee. If you like it and you meet the price that you want, you throw the money down and off you go. If we get too many of them, the captain doesn't like it too much, and he'll purposely evict a few of these riverboats. But there are 2 reasons they're on there. 1, they're getting a free ride back home, and 2, they're selling their wares. We'll continue on, keeping on to Luxor. We'll go through some of those old floodplains that used to flood, arriving to Luxor. And here we are at the site of Luxor, right in the center of town, walkable distance from our boat dock. Upon arrival, dependent on arrival, we'll arrive somewhere between 2, 3, 3:30, depending on how long it takes us to get through the locks. And we'll embark immediately out on the Luxor tour. Luxor, one of the most important and famous sites. Those people who have been to Paris before, you might have seen the Egyptian obelisk, which was gifted to the French nation. Well, you'll see its sister here in front of Luxor. So you'll have seen a set if you've seen the Egyptian obelisk in Paris. But we'll enter through into Luxor through the gates, which are guarded by 2 large statues of Ramses II. We'll enter in there and we'll start our guided tour, learning of the various pharaohs that we're looking at here. We'll also watch the sun go down as we learn about Ramses II. And here's a statue of him. Ramses was a long-lasting, healthy, and very popular pharaoh. The sun will start to go down. The lights inside the temple will come on. We see it in a daylight format, and then we start to see it in a whole different light. And it is so spectacular to be here in Luxor during dusk hours. We'll continue through the Temple of the Columns, and we'll continue with our hieroglyphics conversations. Come back to the hotel, rest. If you want to walk around Luxor in the evening, please feel free to do so. Lots of things that you can do. But day 7, we'll find ourselves in still in Luxor, but we'll be heading to the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. Our first stop is the Valley of the Queens. Take a look at this temple, built out of the hillside itself. Solid rocks that's been carved in such a way. And this is the temple of Queen Hatshepsut. We're from our parking, from the coach parking, we continue on a small tractor trailer up to the spot where we are. A short walk, and we'll be able to experience the temple firsthand. I've been there many, many times. I'm sat in a little cafe right here. They have excellent cappuccinos, and I just sit and watch the world go by when I go here. It's a fabulous experience. Just to think that this is all out of the rock from right there. Continuing on, before lunch, we will experience another part of our cultural discovery series. We'll learn how vases, statues, urns were constructed during the pharaoh's times, which haven't been changed in today's day and age. No machinery is used. Hammers, picks, chisels, rasps, drills by hand are all used to do this. We have the ability to talk to the locals, learn a little bit about what's happening. And here you can see the milling out of the center of a vase. Now, there is a rule in Egypt. The things that we see in here are gifts to be given to yourself, because these are the original, shall we say, the real McCoy gifts. Alabaster, solid stone. They tend to be a little bit more expensive than the statues, in front of the sites. But these are gifts you give to yourself. The education factor is why we're here, but there's an opportunity to buy if you wish. When you're in front of the sites of the pyramids or the Valley of the Kings, there'll be other vendors selling their wares. Those are the gifts you bring home for family members. Remember that. Continuing on, we'll go to through to the Colossal of Menon. These are 2 massive statues that are at the entrance to the gates of the Valley of the Kings. Behind there is the Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings was a secret to regular Egyptians. Only aristocracy, the pharaohs, the ruling class, and workers who worked on the tombs and on the embalming processes and in the temples knew of this place. So we're heading into a very privileged area. And here we are at the temple of the Valley of the Kings and the embalming areas. As you look around here in the walls, in the cliff faces, you'll see tomb after tomb right there. And we're going to be continuing on to the Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings is right now, I think there's about 56 tombs that we can see. They're excavating as we speak. They found a new tomb last year. But there are many, many tombs in and around this area. Here we walk into the main area and we see the model of the tomb. We're looking at it as a bird's eye view. If you were to fly over on a plane, this is what you'd see. But the important thing about the tomb is what's underneath. And here we've got underneath the model, these are the tombs themselves. So you can see the entranceway, various chambers along the way. These could have been for people that were buried along with the pharaohs. Artifacts. These are all rooms to bury artifacts in them, eventually ending up in the burial chamber at the very, very end. So now you can see what an amazing things these are. And they're all carved out. And as you can see, nothing too steep as we go through. There's a mixture of steps. There's a mixture of slopes, wooden walkway slopes with handrails, but nothing too strenuous to get in and out of. And here we are in Luxor, on the land itself, or as it was called, ancient Thebes. You can see here a couple of the entrances to the grave sites themselves. We'll be learning of Howard Carter, the explorer and treasure hunter who found King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. You can see him taking out all the artifacts from inside the tomb right here. We'll learn about his life. We'll learn about his excavations. We'll also see most probably current excavations happening. When I was there recently, it was a hive of activity of digging out and looking for new tombs. The University of Basel is doing a study program here, the Swiss university, and doing all sorts of good things in the Valley of the Kings. We'll visit 3 tombs whilst here. Oh, sorry, I apologize. 3 tombs whilst here. We never really 100% sure which tombs we will be visiting. But as the Ministry of Egyptology constantly changes the tombs, which ones are open, to stop wear and tear. But as you can see, here you can see the tombs here. They generally are walking into a door on the wall and walking in and slowly going down a slope. Please remember this shot here, this mound of rock and soil. We'll talk about this in a moment. And you can see another big one here. Here we are inside one of the tombs, a shot that I personally took. You'll see the hieroglyphics. You can see the paintings. You'll see various deities, various pharaohs, battles. If Home Depot or Lowe's could figure out how to make paint like the pharaohs did, it would be fabulous. We wouldn't have to. We wouldn't have to paint our houses probably once every century, once every 2 centuries or so, if they could do that. Remember Horus? Here he is, right here, the falcon-headed god. But again, all original paint. It's not too closed in. We're not going down tunnels. It's all walkable. It's all wide. These were royal chambers. So these were grand events. When the pharaoh went in here, he wasn't designed to come back out again. But yes, it was a great event to bring them in here. So no really claustrophobic places. A few steps, as you can see right there. And here we are again, various aspects, various deities and such as we go through. Here we have items that were inside a pharmacy, drugs and urns and such things as that. Great photographic opportunities. Now, Importantly, King Tutankhamun. King Tutankhamun, as we know, his grave was never robbed. It was found in 1922, way after most of the graves in the Valley of the Kings, their artifacts and treasures had disappeared for centuries. Now, why was it such a way that it was never found? Well, if you look here, you'll notice there's tombs all the way around. There's tombs on this side too. When the grave robbers were excavating these, they did a big pile of soil and rocks right on the top of Tutankhamun's entrance. They didn't dig down because they knew that the tombs were into the rock faces themselves. So they never found Tutankhamun's tomb because it went down. Now, he was a boy king. He was only 19 when he died. He wasn't a very popular king. He was a very sickly pharaoh. And hence, it's a small tomb. And there's even stories that it wasn't even built for him and he died very, very quickly. And most of his treasures were actually taken from they actually grave robbed other pharaohs to bring in gold for King Tutankhamun and basically etched the names of other pharaohs and put his name on them. But because it was built going down and not into the wall, it's a little difficult to get into. So hence, we do not include it in our tour because immediately, as soon as you go through these gates, there's about 15 steps down to navigate. And then you'll go down and dog left to the right, and you'll go down another 30 steps or so, down into the small chamber below. Still not claustrophobic, but it's a lot smaller. If you wish, you can meet Tutankhamun because he was there the last time I was there. He needs a little bit of moisturizer, but he is still there. He is a little leathery in today's day and age, but we don't include entrance because it's not the easiest to get down to. There's a $10 fee for most things in archaeological sites in Egypt. So it's a $10 equivalent charge to go if you want to. And I highly recommend it. If you can take stairs, do it. And your tour director will be able to help you with that. And here we are, original photography of the tomb itself. And here you can see inside the tomb that Carter took the photograph of. Carter again with the main sarcophagus and the tomb and the mummy inside. We'll go back to the boat for lunch. And then in the afternoon, we will then visit a local school, part of our cultural discovery series. What could be better to learn about the education system than viewing and talking with the young, impressionable minds of the Egyptian youth? We'll learn about that system. There's one or two schools we can go to. One's run by Dominican monks. It's also an orphanage as well as a school. And then there's another one that's run by a different entity in Aswan, in Luxor itself. But usually the kids meet us, they'll give us a brief performance. We have an opportunity to talk to them, and it's a fabulous experience. After that, after the school visit, we go to the Temple of Karnak. For those people who have watched the mummy movies, we're always in and around Karnak. We've usually got black Arabian horses, white horses. We've got sheiks and on those horses, and there's a mummy or two thrown in there. One of the things that's great about actually seeing the original, you see the original artifacts, but from Luxor to Karnak, it was joined by a 3-kilometer road, and every 30 feet, there was a sphinx on both sides of the roads. It's an unbelievable experience. Again, with our Egyptologist, we'll tour Karnak and experience a fabulous history. And again, we'll be learning about the various aspects of Karnak. We'll go into the Temple of the Columns. I know you've seen this on the mummy films, on the various Agatha Christie movies and such things as that. But now you're actually there in the original. All the rest, all those movies, those sites and sets were built in Hollywood. And there is some original paintwork above in this on these columns that have lasted since Pharaoh's times. It's unbelievable. That evening we'll have a Nubian show, be our last night on board the vessel, and the next day we'll find ourselves on day 8 and we'll be flying back to Cairo. This is classed as a travel day. We will either fly in the morning, we'll have less time, free time in Luxor and more free time in Cairo, or we'll be in an afternoon flight and about a lunch flight, and we'll have a mixture of free time in each, or it'll be a late afternoon, early evening flight, and we'll have more free time in Luxor. It's a travel day. We try not to plan anything on this day at all. Based on airline schedules, we'll catch that flight. We'll arrive back to Cairo, rest up. We're back again at the Hilton on the Nile at the Ramses, and the next day we'll be viewing. We'll be going to the pyramids of Giza on the Giza Plateau, and we'll be learning about the Great Pyramid and the two surrounding it. There are many others, the step pyramids and many other pyramids around, but you have the opportunity to take a few steps on the pyramid itself. Few of these. Now, these are the foundation blocks. Take a look at the top here. This is how the pyramids looked when they were completed. There was a fascia, a white fascia rock on all the pyramids. So they were brilliant white. Over the years, these rocks had been taken away to build Cairo. So they end up in the foundation rocks that we see, like steps. You can walk on a few of those steps. And also, importantly, after our guided section, you'll have some free time to take photographs. Anybody interested, you can actually go into the tomb inside the Great Pyramid. Like King Tutankhamen, this is not an American style adventure. It takes a little bit of doing. If you can bend over and scramble underneath, there's a little hole you have to go to. Importantly, remember, don't forget this. This was not designed. This is designed to stay inside this tomb. It wasn't designed to go in and come out again. So it's not the easiest to get into. But if you can take some steps, if you can bend down, maybe if you wish to, go on your hands and knees and just crawl a little bit, I highly recommend you go into here. There's not many people that can say they've been inside to the great tomb of the Great Pyramid. Again, it's that approximately $10 US in Egyptian currency, which will get you there. After that free time, or time to go into the pyramid itself, we'll head to the viewing platform. And here we are at the viewing platform right here. Great photographs can be taken from the viewing platform, and you have the opportunity. We don't include it, but you have the opportunity here to take a camel ride in the desert close to the pyramids themselves. Great opportunity and a great postcard or Christmas card shot for your Christmas message that next Christmas. Continuing on, we go to the front section again. This time it is for the Sphinx. We'll be going up close to the Sphinx, but we'll also be going into the embalming temple, which is right here. And you'll learn how magnificent these architects were, the planning that was required, the stones for the pyramids and all the buildings for the Sphinx are from hundreds and hundreds of miles away, yet they were carved to fit. So they were carved, taken out of the quarry, carved, and then put into place here. Inside the embalming temple right here, there is a stone with 16 sides to it. That's not an easy figure to do, but it was carved away and then fit together. We'll continue on and have a great opportunity to see the Sphinx, get your photograph taken in front of the Sphinx. We'll continue on to the site of Memphis, ancient Saqqara, the ancient capital of Egypt, where you'll see the step pyramids. Last night, we'll come back to the hotel. It'll be a last night on the base program itself. Time to relax. Next day, we'll find ourselves on the bus heading back to the airport with memories as we travel back to the United States with memories of a fabulous and very friendly group of people. Adventure through travel, seeing one of the 7 wonders of the world, being Indiana Jones or Laura Croft for the day, and importantly, learning about the curse of the mummy. What is the curse of the mummy? Yes, you're going to have to go over there to see it and to learn about it. But it is fascinating. You'll never see a mummy movie again without understanding what the curse of the mummy is. You'll have a unique experience and a unique culture with a history like no other. You've got everything right here. You've got round-trip air transportation from New Orleans. We've got 8 nights, 4 nights in Cairo, 4 nights on the riverboat, 18 meals, which equates to 8 breakfasts, 6 lunches, 4 dinners. We've got all our touring except one. The only optional tour is the light and sound show. We've got a cultural discovery series, which we'll be learning about economy, meeting the people. We've got our Egyptologist upon arrival in Cairo, traveling with you throughout. Deluxe air conditioned motor coaches. We've got baggage handling for 1 piece of luggage in the aircraft and in and around the hotels. As Donald Trump said in regards to real estate years and years ago, location, location. This is a cruise, so there's different price categories. M1 is the lowest level on the vessel. Some people like it, some people don't, because there are no aquarium view rooms on this vessel, but this sometimes is too low for people to the water. So as location is said, the higher you go up and the more centrally located on the boat, the cost of the trip is a little bit more. When you're cruising the Nile, you get a better view out of the higher and more centrally located cabins. Single and the pricing, everything from $33.49 all the way through to $39.49. Single supplement is there. The activity level it is a level 4, which means that the criteria is you're a proficient walker, and you can manage steps, and you can stand in one location listening to commentary for 30 minutes. That's our criteria on this. Historically, the programs that we've done in the past are level 3s. So, and this is the only level 4 we have on any of our programs. There are uneven grounds. We're going to the pyramids. We're going in the Valley of the Kings, but we service the mature American traveler for their vacation needs. So we're sure you're okay, as long as you're a proficient walker. Okay. 60% of our travelers say, while we're there, I'd like to extend longer. So we've got a 3-night extension to Alexandria, November the 14th through to the 17th. And that is 3 nights hotel, first-class hotel accommodation, which equates to 2 nights in Alexandria and 1 night back in Cairo on the way back to the airport. 3 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and 2 dinners. Your sightseeing is all taken care of. 2 beautiful scenic transfer days from Cairo through that fertile Nile Delta, arriving to Alexandria. Full day tour of Alexandria with Pompey's Pillow, the catacombs, and the and the Royal Library. We got our tour director who will carry on with you, air-conditioned motor coaches and baggage handling. The price is $699 double occupancy, $948 single occupancy. Alexandria has been occupied by many civilizations and cultures over the centuries, and everything from English architecture, Arabic architecture, European architecture is on show on your city tour. Our home here in Alexandria is the Radisson Blu, first class 4-star hotel on the Bay of Alexandria. Swimming pools, restaurants, bars, free Wi-Fi, all there for your enjoyment. Here we are in the lobby, the dining room, and it's set off just just on the outside of the center of the city. So it brings a little bit of calm and quietness to your stay. All rooms have all the modern conveniences, including outside large balcony, satellite TV, direct dial telephones, Wi-Fi, private bathrooms, twin and double bedded, in some cases king-size beds. And again, everything you're going to need for a 2-night stay. Day 11, first day, get there, check in, relax. Day 11, the city tour. We'll be arriving at the Acropolis and Pompey's Pillar with the 2 sphinxes guarding the entrance. We'll continue on to one of the 7 wonders of the medieval world, and to the catacombs of Alexandria. We'll then continue on to the brand new and modern Royal Library of Alexandria. You can see the modern outlook of the building itself with hieroglyphics. Inside, there are documents and scrolls that are centuries upon centuries old. We have a guided tour we'll go through, and we'll see some various aspects of the museum. Anybody wishing to stay, you can stay longer. Your ticket is a multiple entry ticket. If you want to come back later in that day and view more, you certainly can come back and do that. We'll find Kuwait Bay, the Citadel, the fortification which guarded from pirates and guarded the city of Alexandria. 2 nights in Alexandria, and the city tour will come back, arriving back to Cairo around about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Instead of going downtown, and here you can see our hotel, the Ramses Hilton right there. But instead of going downtown on the return to Cairo from the extension, we will go to the City Stars neighborhood. It's a high-end residential region and shopping area. And we'll be staying at the Holiday Inn International Hotel, the first-class 4-star hotel. This isn't one of those holodomes that you might, it's a lovely international hotel with all the modern conveniences. Underneath the hotel, there is the famous City Stars shopping mall with over 640 shops down underneath there. But again, the rooms are everything you're going to need: satellite TV, direct dial telephone, air conditioning, heat, twin queen bedded rooms, private bathrooms, direct dial telephones, restaurants and bars, English speaking staff and such things as that. So last night in Egypt, after the extension, last time to say, really a goodbye to your Egyptologist. He'll take you to the airport the next day, and day 13 we'll find ourselves flying back to the United States. And welcome to the family of Aventura World. When you travel with us, you're safe and secure in our hands, as our guests have been since 1972. Passports and visas. Yes, I'd mentioned, I'd talk a little bit about visas. Visas aren't required before you arrive into Egypt currently, and I don't see it changing. Upon arrival, you'll need 2 blank pages in your passport, and you'll need 60 days left on your passport expiration from the last day in Egypt, and $25 in US cash. With that, you'll go to the bank where you'll meet our airport representative, and you'll get this sticker here, and you'll put that in your passport. And that's your visa. Easily, no pre-information required. How do we sign up? Real easy, nice and easy. And here it is, right here. We start with your name as it appears in your passport. Nice and easy. First name, middle name, last name, of course, Cirtle, Mr., Miss, Mrs. The name that appears in your passport, and then after that, you will drop in your date of birth, passport number, country of issue, expiration date. If you don't have a passport right now, do not wait to get your passport before signing up for the trip. I strongly encourage you to sign up sooner than later. As Jessica mentioned at the start of this meeting, we haven't traveled as a chamber for over a year. As of next week, the majority of US citizens have not traveled for over a year. We assess that the fall of 2021, the last quarter, will be the biggest travel year in decades. It's not when this trip sells, it's not if this trip sells out, sorry, it's when this trip sells out. So if you don't have a passport or your passport's expired, please sign up sooner than later to avoid the disappointment when this trip sells out. So we then get into your address, city, state, zip code, email address, home phone number, and cell phone. Single occupancy, tick that box. Double occupancy, tick that box, and circle twin or double, whichever you'd like, and then put who you're sharing the room with. We require one registration form per traveler. But if Mr. and Mrs. John and Alice Smith are traveling on this trip, John fills out the form and fills out his name here and indicates he's traveling with Alice right there. Then Alice is going to fill one out and indicate John right there. If one person is paying for two people, we don't need two credit card information on methods of payment. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But if we've got two gents or two ladies sharing, then each one of you can fill out the form and have your payments charged to your form of either credit card or check. Nice and easy. So then we got notes. Anything you need us to know about you as a traveler, low sodium, fat-free diets, traveling with friends, and you'd like to have rooms close to each other. We can't always guarantee to have rooms next to each other, but rooms close to each other, such things as that, you can do that. As we go through this, then we get into cabin category. It's a first choice and a second choice. We ask you to fill out both. Cabins are on a first come, first served basis, and we know that this is going to sell out. So we ask you to give us your first choice. If that is sold out when you do reserve, we'll go to your second choice. If both of them are sold out, we'll then come back to Jessica and she will let you know and ask you what you want to do. But please do sign up sooner than later, especially extra especially if you're a single, because there's only a few single cabins on the vessel itself. We can see the different pricings of the cabin categories right there. And then we get into the light and sound. Yes, I'd like it. No, I don't. Please let us know. Alexandra extension. Yes, I'd like it. No, I don't. Please tick the box. And then we've got here a calculation so that you can understand how much the entire trip costs. The trip cost. So based on whichever category you go in, put it here. Optional choice. If you'd like the light and sound show, put it there. The $79. Single supplement. If you're single, put it there. Optional extension to Alexandra. Put the amount there. Taxes and fees are $150 additional. They are charged at final payment, as it does state in the brochure. And then total all these amounts up, and that's the price per person. Why do we do that? Now you know with the price of the person, the insurance tier that you come into. So, for example, if you come into a C2 and you take nothing else, it's $36.69. This figure would be $36.69 in there, and you'd look. Oh, it falls into $252 a person. Okay, we'll come back to that again in a moment, but let's talk about the insurance. I certainly hope you all take out the optional travel insurance. And I just as much hope that you waste your money on it. Why? Because if you waste your money on it, you haven't had the need to use it. But it's the time you don't take it out, nearly always is the time that you need it. I've seen it too many times that, oh, I took insurance. People have told me I took insurance last time. I didn't take it this time. I've never used it. And they need it. Once you've seen somebody that didn't have insurance need it, or once you've been on a trip and you should have taken it, you'll never, ever not take it again. It covers medical before you go on the trip for yourself or an immediate family member if that stops you from going. An accident. Again, touch wood. I hope you don't need this and you hope don't experience this. A sickness or a death of an immediate family member. It covers trip interruption, travel delays, misconnections, medical evacuation and medical on the trip itself, lost baggage and personal effects and baggage delays. Here you can see a number. I'll show you where you can find this number. And here you can see a link. I'll show you where you can find this link. We also have the ability to take out a trip, cancel for any reason insurance. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So if you want to, you can cancel for any reason all the way up to 48 hours before you go. We'll discuss a little bit more about that in a moment. But onwards to the next slide, please take a look right in the middle of the insurance. It says there, www.aventuraworld.com/files/travel protection. Click on that link and it will launch information about the insurance. Again, I highly encourage you to take it, but it's up to you. But I do hope that you do take it and you waste your money on it. Tick the box of whatever your program falls into. Yes, I'd like it. No, I decline it. Please make sure you tick yes or no here, because if you don't, we get a registration form. We'll come back to Jessica and say, it's important to us to know you, Mr. and Mrs. Traveler, understand the importance of the insurance. Do you want it or not? Okay, onwards to the calculation for the deposit. It's $600 per person to reserve your space, plus optional tours. So $600, and if you want the light and sound show, it's an extra $79. So it's $679 a person, plus the optional extension, because we are extending and we have a longer stay in Egypt. We have different hotels we need to accommodate. We ask you to pay for the extension with your deposit. Either one or two people's worth. It depends how many people you're paying for. And then the travel insurance. If you don't include the amount and tick, yes, I want it, we cannot buy the premium on your behalf. So you need to include the amount for the travel protection in there. Then we've got a full amount here. This amount is the amount of deposit, which you will transpose down here. This is how much you're going to authorize us to cash or charge your credit card for. So we'll come a little bit more down here in a moment. We take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and checks made out to Aventura World. Any checks and registration forms, get them over to St. Tammany Chamber, email them over to them, take a photograph with your smartphone, email it over, and you're all set and done. And then Jessica will get them over to our reservations department. Credit cards, tick the box. Credit card number, security code, expiration date, and name on the card. Easy to fill out. Now, as we move along on this particular format, oops, I've gone ahead. I apologize. As we go ahead here, I'd mentioned earlier, we're a company that changes with the times. We understand we've no idea where the world is going. And we have been able to renegotiate our programs for 2021 with new terms and conditions with our vendors, and 2022 new programs. So all the way up to 121 days before you go, you can gain a full refund. Now, there's method to the reason why we're offering this trip in November. Why? Because there's very few things that are within our control at the moment, but we can plan. So we can go and plan to travel to Egypt in November, on November the 5th, and we can put an X on our calendar. We're going. November gives us plenty of time for the world to get back to, hopefully, and let's all touch wood again, to some form of normality, to gain your vaccinations, to get 2 vaccinations. The federal government and state governments really should say, within the first wave, part 3 of vaccinations, or second wave, part 1, that we will be vaccinating the majority of Aventura World travelers. They should say that, but they don't. But they say 65 and above will be vaccinated in that first wave, part 3, or second wave in some period or not, or so. The majority of our travelers are 65 years and above. And by bringing out a November trip, it's giving us longer to get the vaccinations and for the world to get back to normal. Egypt is open right now. We've got groups going there in March of this year. I did pre-departure meetings last week. So it's open and people are going, but this gives us a little bit longer. It also gives us longer for that 121 days to work. So all the way up until 121 days before we go, you have the ability to reserve, put your money down, to pay for the extension, to pay for the light and sound show, and get your name on the bus and put that X on your calendar, but knowing the fact that you'll get your money back of money sent to Aventura World for deposit, extension, and tours, as long as you let us know, no reason required, as long as you let us know 121 days before you go. Now, there's one slight thing to that. If you select travel protection, travel insurance, that is non-refundable at the time that you reserve and the time you tell us, yes, I want it. In the last 20 years, I have been taking approximately 3 international trips a year. So I've taken approximately 60 international trips. Every time I go, I take travel insurance. Out of those 60 trips, I've only used it twice. So in all aspects, I'm a perfect model to my own story. I hope I waste my money on it, but please take it out. So I live by that motto. Only twice have I used it. So I bring you to the thinking. It's important to have the insurance, but you might waste your money on it. So if you do reserve and you want the insurance, that money for the insurance is non-refundable, so it's gone. Keep that in mind. You waste your money on the insurance. Only the time you need it is the time you're thankful for it. So again, that money is non-refundable, but the rest of the money sent to us is. And then after that, we go into a sliding scale. As we go through, here we've got the authorization amount right here and signature date. Now, I mentioned something about cancel for any reason insurance. So cancel for any reason is all the features of the cancel for a reason: the lost luggage, the medical before you go, the flight delays, the medical on the trip itself. But the upgrade gives you the ability to cancel out all the way up to 48 hours before you go without any reason at all, hence cancel for any reason. After the 48 hours, it reverts back to the standard cancel for a reason. Okay, so do keep that in mind. Now, the premium cost is 50% more than the standard policy. So if we quickly get my calculator out, using my example of the $252 insurance amount, the price of the cancel for any reason upgrade would be 252 times by 50%, it would be 100, 252 times by 50%, $125. Well, that doesn't sound right. I think it's $126 in actual fact. $126. My calculator must be running out of batteries. So because this is a brand new event that just happened last week, our brochure hasn't been changed for it. But on our online booking engine, we'll talk about it in a moment, you'll be able to see it and you'll be able to see the booking policy. And you'll be able to see the policy too. And I recommend, if you can, use the booking engine to reserve for the trip. And let's talk about, if not, the paper form is fine. And if you want to cancel for any reason, go on this site here and review the policy and know that it's 50% more than this, and then indicating notes, yes, I won't cancel for any reason. And we will take care of that on your behalf. Bring this, get this over to the chamber, the paper form, email, mail, whichever format. If you've got a fax, whatever format you can, and then Jessica will get it over to us. But the best way to do it is the online booking engine. For those people that have traveled with us before, you've done this before, but we took last year to do lots of renovations, and we have upgraded our booking engine. Like Amazon Prime or most online sites in today's day and age, we are now requiring you to make a profile. By making a profile, you can come backwards and forwards year after year, and your information is secure, but in our system. So if you've never made a profile, you've traveled with us before, but you haven't done a profile with us, this is the screen that you'll come to by dropping on www.aventuraworld.com/booking. That address is indicated on the registration form here at the back, at the top of the registration form, and here under Jessica's name on the front of the brochure, as well as with the code here. I'll show you where you're going to need the code in a moment, but there's the code right here, and it's also right here on the front of the brochure. Put your name, first name, last name, your email address, a password, and confirm the password. And then there'll be a series of 4 numbers or letters underneath, and there'll be a box like this under here, and you'll put that in there and you'll press submit. Okay. Once you've done that, you will then gain an email to say, here it is. Is this you? Is this your email address? You'll click on that, and yes, it is you. You'll launch the booking engine, and you'll come to this place that says, welcome. Your account is now active, and you'll log in with your email address, and then you'll put this code in, and then you'll go to the next page. And then this next page, it sounds a lot, but it is very self-explanatory. It'll say, welcome back, Ian. It'll welcome back John or Joan or whoever it is. And it'll say, okay, here it is. Put your booking code in here. Put the booking code in here. Okay. And then off we go. This is where the booking engine starts. Put your passenger information in here. Very similar to, very similar to the paper registration form. It will say name, address, passport number, expiration date, date of birth, and such things as that. Traveling companions, husbands and wives only need to fill out one account. Because you can add multiple family members if, well, you can put children in there too, if you wish. And then whenever you want to come back, you can click and bring people in on all sorts of trips and such things as that. Once you've got through the number 1 setting, you'll come to number 2. What type of rooms are you looking for? In this case, what cabin categories are you looking at? Then it'll say, are you, the air is included out of New Orleans. Do you need a different gateway? If you click that gateway, it'll ask, yes, I do. It'll ask you, what gateway do you want? Okay, keep that in mind. Optional tours and extensions. The Light and sound show. Yes, you want it. No, you won't. Don't. Extension. Yes, you do. Don't. No, you don't. And then we get into number 5, and you'll keep going on. And every time you've completed one of these sections here, it'll say save and advance. So now we'll be on travel protection. On this, it'll say, do you want travel protection? If you say no, it will automatically populate and say, are you sure? Again, we want to make sure you understand how important it is for us for you to understand it is important. It will also say, do you want standard travel insurance for a reason, or do you want to the insurance and the cancel for any reason wrapped together? And you'll be able to click on a link and you'll be able to read the policy. And then you'll be able to say, yes, I want just standard. Yes, I want cancel for any reason. It does say, yes, I want cancel for any reason, but both of the normal premium is included with cancel for any reason when you press that button. You'll go to the next section and it'll go through a review of payment. You won't have to get your calculator out. It's a computer. It does math while we're sleeping. It'll calculate everything up. You'll press send. We'll get a copy of the registration form with everything in there. You'll get a copy an email to say we're in possession of your registration, and Jessica will also gain information that you have reserved. Okay, and that's a nice, easy way to do it, and that's a great way to do it because it cuts down in errors of handwriting and such things as that. And we certainly hope you'll enjoy us on a terrific travel year in 2021. And is there anybody with any questions? Jessica, do we have any in the text box?
We don't have any questions in the text box, but I know Christina sent me an email right before this. So Christina, why don't you go ahead and you can unmute and ask Ian the question that you emailed me, if you'd like.
Are you there?
Yes, we can hear you.
I just had a question about the group size. I was wondering how many normally travel in your groups.
Yeah, good idea. Good question. Currently, on all our programs throughout the world, we're traveling under social distancing rules and regulations. Hold on one moment. I seem to be getting some sun coming into my face. We're traveling under social distancing rules and regulations, which means that a bus of 50 to 55 people, you will have no more than 30 people on a bus. So that's each bus will have its own Egyptologist. Each bus obviously will have its own driver. Now, importantly, I don't know if we'll be traveling under social distancing rules when we travel in November, but currently that's what it is. So there may be multiple buses happening at the same time, but right now there is 30 people on them. In previous years, on a 55-seater coach, we wouldn't put more than 40 people on a coach.
Okay, thank you.
Ian, with the numbers, this trip, we have some carryover from last year. So we do already have 15 people booked for this trip.
Yeah. Again, my aim is not, and thank goodness I'm having this conversation now because, you know, the travel industry in 2020 had better years, and that's humor. But the way that we see it in 2021, in the last quarter, because people haven't traveled, because their biggest adventure has been a trip to the supermarket every Friday, the fact that they've watched everything that there is possible to watch on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, and on cable TV, that they're very much sick and tired and they're ready to travel. I'm doing 2 to 3 presentations a day on this, on our programs. Egypt is one of our top selling destinations. So again, my aim isn't to rush you into signing up now, but if you know you want to go, And if you know that you're under no exposure and you'll get everything back except your insurance, my question to you is, why not sign up now, guarantee your spot, and all the way up to 121 days before, see how things goes. I've got a sneaking feeling that the majority of people on this presentation right now will already have gained at least one vaccination. In fact, some people in the last presentation I did 2 hours ago, 50%, because we did a little hand count, 50% of the group had already gained both vaccinations. So again, why not sign up, get yourself on the trip. We're already 50% full. So if you haven't signed up, it's a good idea to sign up sooner than later.